I kind of wander around and look at things, and something will strike me. Yeah. Sometimes you see things as you're just driving along, and then you go back and it's not there, what you thought you saw. So that seems to mean it's the light at the particular moment that made the thing have a nice composition or something to it. But yeah, usually it's just something that I go to find and finally settle on some spot. Sometimes you don't see anything that seems interesting, or so you just have to sit down and start painting. And somewhere along the line it begins to liven up. And then sometimes you get onto a track of something that's fascinating, like the window paintings that I did. I began really pursuing windows like there were, you know, like there was no tomorrow, looking at everybody's windows from the outside. It was quite amazing. Or even in the woods, it kind of happened there too. I started looking at the arrangements of trees and so forth, and you get plugged into it in some way, and then you do enough of it, and suddenly it's just not that interesting anymore. So, yeah. I wouldn't like to keep doing the same thing forever, that's for sure. Although there must be limit, you know, every person must have their limits, so that there's something about it that's probably the same, which you don't notice at the time. Maybe years later you look at things and see where they're coming from. But usually at the time that I see something or get interested, it doesn't seem to be a premeditated situation, really. So it's so analyzing what you do seems to come afterwards, not before, or you'd never do it. My feeling is you wouldn't, if you knew what you were really about, you wouldn't have to do it. It seems like it's a visual process of getting excited about what you see, more than a thinking process. But why do you get excited about what you see? I don't know. So, yeah. We're just lucky that I think painters are just lucky that they actually see things. Not everybody seems to see the world that they're living in, you know? And it's such a kick, really, seeing things. And so I just feel like, okay, I can see things, and that's where it starts. People that do music or do something else must hear things that I don't even hear at all. I suppose everybody has their bent, you know, whatever their skill is. I assumed I'd grow up and have some kind of an office job like everybody else did. So, but then I got into Cooper Union, and that was a great push in the right direction. Although I was going to be a textile designer, because I was thinking practically, you have to have something to do. You can't just paint, you know. And then when I got out of Cooper, married Bill, he was doing sculpture, and he was managing to somehow squeak through without taking some other kind of job. And but a friend and I were going to do freelance textile design, and there was a real dip in the market, so we didn't get anywhere with our textile design. She actually wound up making color separations and doing that, but I think that's about when Bill got his Fulbright and we went off to Italy. So that saved us for a year. That was just great. And then when we came back, we came back in 1950, in the fall of 1950, and that's when things were really beginning to happen in New York. And we and some others decided we needed to maybe open a little gallery or some place where we could all get together. So it turned out to be a gallery, and that was the Tanager Gallery on 10th Street. And since we did everything, we found out about everything. I mean, we went to visit people's studios, and we met. That was my graduate degree, so to speak. Doing all of that was great. And so that, more or less, the die was cast. Once you got involved with that, that was your world. And so that was a good world for me. There are advantages to painting outside, and that is that when you get out there, the phone can't ring, and there are no distractions at all, and there's no, and there's a kind of a urgency about what you're doing, so your mind doesn't wander as much. Or if it wanders, you're still painting even with your mind wandering. That's what I find happens. Often do your best painting when your mind is somewhere else, then you look at it later. But so it's good to be outside. But here I am doing these inside, and here we have this nice warm winter when it would be easy to be outside, and I haven't been out at all. It's interesting, but then it's not white out there. I do like it when it's white out there. It's somewhat colorless at this time of the year. Well, I'm sure if I went out and really looked at it, it's not colorless at all. Yeah.